stickly stuff.
That must be a cousin, like the European cousin.
Rumpity tum. Tum. Oh, man.
All right.
Oh, hey, Marvin.
Hey, Marvin.
Yeah, I didn't get your email on Sunday. I'm sorry about that. We should maybe try in another week or two. I'm thinking. I would love to be on. Just had to take care of some business.
All right.
Okay.
Marvin's ready before we are.
Yeah, I know, right? Man.
All right. Welcome, everybody. We are back. Everything's late. Nobody dies. Episode number 74.
Except this time one thing is early, and that's our podcast, because I got to go to a concert that you're mad at me for going to. Yeah. Oh, what episode is it?
74.
Lucky 74.
This is the one.
This is it.
This is the one that's going
brought to you by Jigglypuff.
Jigglypuff.
Jigglypuff, which is not what I said a minute ago, but I'm not going to say the other thing. Anybody out there think that Jigglypuff needs to have a marshmallow tie-in? Like a strawberry marshmallow thing?
Yeah.
Strawberry s'mores?
Yeah.
S'moreberry?
I'm down for it. They did like the Pokemon Oreos. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do a little... Yeah. You can peek and chew whichever one you want. Right. Yeah, that's cool.
What's that?
What is that?
What is that?
Oh, man, I accidentally dropped that there. Oh, it's telling people to vote for us for Best of Utah on cityweekly.net/Best of Utah. Man, I don't know how they got there. It's weird. But anyway, yeah, it's that time again.
Out with the City Weekly people.
Yeah, no, yeah, at the Beer Fest.
The Beer Fest, yeah.
Yeah.
Pete,
which is just sad because you don't even drink.
I don't. But Pete, big supporter of what we do.
Yeah, Pete's great guy.
Charity side.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pete and his cousin Dimitri and his other cousin Dimitri and his other cousin Dimitri. No, I'm not even kidding.
Yeah. It was Pete's birthday yesterday. So happy birthday, Pete. Happy birthday, Kat. They have the same birthday. They're birthday buddies. So, yeah. We celebrate their birthday.
Thank you. Mine was Saturday.
That was a long time ago.
That was
yesterday.
That was Saturday.
Yeah, so Greg is now old.
I can finally grow a beard. I've been working on this for 54 years.
This is going to be a hostile podcast because Greg gets to go to the concert that I've been hemming and hawing and lost my chance to get tickets to.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. It ought to be a blast. I mean, this is like, and I should have known because it's Rob Zombie, Manson. Rob Zombie.
You never start with Rob Zombie. It's Alice Cooper.
It's Alice Cooper.
Rob Zombie, Ministry, and Filter.
So it's getting to be spooky season.
Yes.
Perfect kickoff to all that.
Absolutely.
Saw a meme the other day.
Yep.
It was Greg is old as dirt now.
What do you mean now?
Now? Where have you been?
Yeah, as of Saturday. Yeah, sure. Okay.
But I saw a meme the other day, and it had Rob Zombie up there and all his attire, hat, and tassels. And they're like, since when did Rob Zombie become the ghost of Macho Man?
I saw that. And I laughed so hard at that. Oh, my God.
Yeah,
that was
brilliant.
Hilarious.
Brilliant.
Yes. And he totally looks like it.
Yeah.
He looks like somebody just poured some reagent down there and just let him go to town, man.
Yeah.
Because, if you're going to come back from the dead, if you're Macho Man Randy Savage coming back from the dead, you'd probably be like, that's how Rob Zombie sounds. Rob Zombie.
I think he's a genius in everything he does.
Macho Man?
Both of them, yeah. I'm a big Macho Man fan.
Big into like snapping into Slim Jims.
Yeah.
Love them.
And I do like a Slim Jim.
Yeah, bet you do.
Slim Jim, thick Jim, however you can get them.
Okay, Jigglypuff.
So we've taken a lot of criticism the last few episodes.
Yeah.
By our lack of comic book talk on our comic book podcast.
Oh, okay.
So, and I think we can attribute that to the fact that comic books have been kind of stagnant lately. Not much going on. Really worth shouting out.
I mean, yes and no. So I'm kind of going in a different direction with my comics now, for at least a little bit. And I'm just, there's too much franchise stuff. There's too much blah blah verse. There's too much, I mean, I was looking this morning, we have I think 7 Venom books up there.
Wow.
And that's
crazy.
Too much, and it's too much for anyone. I feel it's too much for me. And and up until recently I had all the Venom books. All the miniseries, all the ongoing series, all the one shots, like the mail away crap that you got. All the Spider-Man stuff within it, obviously. But, man, you're turning a lot of people off by putting too many titles out. And I'm seeing that I'm not the only retailer that's saying that. I'm not the only reader that's saying that.
Right.
I'm seeing a lot of stuff on Facebook, which is all fact, every bit of anything on Facebook.
To fact book.
They should, yeah. But nothing blah blah cinematic. Yeah, there you go. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, but I mean, I'm seeing a lot of posts by other retailers, and they're like, "Why Spider Society have sold 10 copies of this thing?" You know, and it's getting lost in the sea of spider books, and it's so true. And man, and they're not like most of these orders are going down. Like, the subscriptions, the holds, the, whatever you want to call them, and they're going down, man. And they're like branching out to other stuff. Like, one of the best books I've read in a long time was Houses of the Unholy, the new Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips book. So damn good. And you know what? It has nothing to do with criminal, has nothing to do with reckless, has nothing to do with anything that they've done before. It's not a blah, blah, blah cinematic universe.
Right.
It's nothing, man. It is just a self-contained story that is really good. It's about, the satanic panic stuff. And like, there's a serial killer out there taking people out. And, it's all coming back to that stuff from the 80s. And, I mean, they even bring the real stuff in there. Like that book, Michelle Remembers. Does Eric remember? Remember that book?
No.
Michelle Remembers was one of the things that kicked off the satanic panic.
Oh yeah.
And it was it was a book.
I remember
that was written by, I believe, a psychiatrist that was treating this girl named Michelle.
Right.
And she was going through all the things that happened to her. But he was leading all of these questions.
Right. Because she was doing it under hypnosis.
Yeah.
Well, supposedly hypnosis.
Right. And,
it was guided meditation or whatever. Right.
And that's where people start talking about false memories and, things like that. Like, oh God, man, this didn't happen. Crap, man, maybe it didn't happen, And then they found out that the doctor was full of crap, and he just wanted to write some more books, man.
Right.
And make money and be on talk shows and stuff like that, and be famous, which he was, all those things. Right. But it goes back to that kind of stuff, and it's I think they call them the Satanic Six, and it's 6 of these kids that have grown up and they're starting to be murdered one by one. So, they're trying to figure out what the whole thing is, and it goes back to the 80s and back to when they were kids and, all that kind of stuff in the comic. And it is so good. Man, it's good. Hardcover graphic novel.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Self-contained. That's it. Man. Because,
nice.
From what I understand, when Brubaker and Phillips signed their contract with Image Comics. See how many times we say comics, people? Have you seen? Okay. And when they signed that contract, Image basically said, "What do you want? We don't care. Do 1 book a year, do the Reckless series with different titles and, kind of tie in a little bit and, do your horror stuff, do your crimes, do whatever you want. We don't care. Whatever format you want."
And that's been kind of that was a topic of discussion this weekend when I was hanging out with Doug.
Doug who?
Doug Wagner. I told him that we drop his name all the time on the show. So Doug Wagner, I've never read Narco. He gave me a copy of Narco, so I'm gonna go through that.
Doug Wagner is
supposed to be good. An extremely prolific and very talented writer from Utah.
It's not from Utah, but he lives here.
Close enough.
He's from Georgia.
yeah.
He's from Georgia, and I know that because he talks like everybody on Walking Dead did.
He doesn't really even live in Utah. He's in Park City. So.
Well, yeah, that is true. That is true. Like Salt Lake and
California.
Salt Lake and Park City are not Utah.
Yeah,
that is true.
Yeah.
No, that it's the whole like let's try new things. I'm really liking.
Right.
Well,
and that's not to say that if your thing is 12 X-Men titles, then
go for it.
Then do it. Buy all 12 titles. Yeah. Get all the variants.
Go for it. And don't buy any of this stuff that I'm talking about because you're not going to like it.
Yeah. If you collect the way you want to collect, you read what you want to read.
Right.
But like for a lot of us, that promotes some serious burnout. That's what got me out of comics in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Was the X-Men.
It's very similar to that now.
It's far worse. Like the X-Men, we went from X-Men they changed the name to the Uncanny X-Men so they could introduce the X-Men. Then we had the New Mutants and Excalibur, and there was like 5 or 6 titles.
Well,
and now there's 12.
Well, I mean, if you go back to the 90s, though, we had X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, Excalibur, right. Generation X, Wolverine.
Oh, I was out before Gen X, for sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Wolverine was just coming on.
Yeah.
And everything else, all the Cyclops and
then you had
those
Cable.
Were all one shot.
Cable, and there's 6 ongoings there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so there's like 6 ongoing. And then they did a Deadpool one. So 7 ongoing. And then, they just kind of kept going and going and going. And it got to be a lot. We had classic X-Men. That was still going.
Right.
I mean, you had a lot of that stuff happening then too.
And I have to wonder if they were to cut back on titles. Somebody had told me, I haven't really been following the whole X-Men thing that's been going on the last 6 months or so. But somebody told me there were 12 different titles. And I don't know.
Actually, more than that, if you count like the one shots and things.
So we got over 12 titles. If they scaled that back, if they cut that in half, do you think more people would jump onto the remaining 6 titles?
100%. I'd still be on it.
You really think so?
I'd still doing it.
Or do you think that people are reading those core titles and then maybe every once in a while will jump to one of these?
Well, there are people that are reading the core titles and they're going to get some one shots, or they're going to get some miniseries, or they're going to be like, oh, okay. These 3 Wolverine issues tie into
that makes sense.
Mega X-Men story, or whatever that might be, right? But I think the problem is, though, is I think I've got maybe 5 people that want all the X-Men stuff. That's it. And other people are picking it up here and there. But if you only have 5 people that have holds out of 300 and something, right?
Right.
That is like 1% to 2% when you actually look at that, and maybe 2% of the people are getting all the X-Men stuff, and there's no way that you can do that and keep 15, 16 titles alive, and the readership and the sales are not there.
Right. And one thing that I do hear a lot from collectors and the groups and Facebook groups I'm in and things like that is not so much they're saying I want to read that, I want to follow the X-Men, but I can't afford $100 a month in comic books.
Yeah.
And I mean, I could afford it.
Most of them being $4.99 doesn't help.
You're right.
Then it does not help. And they're doing the same thing with Spider-Man, though. Is they have Amazing Spider-Man, Spider-Boy, Spider-Punk, Spider-Gwen, Spider-Woman, Spider Society, Spider-Man Reign 2, Spider-Man Return of the Green Goblin, Spider-Man Black Suit and Red. There's 9 right there. There's 9 Spider titles right now.
Well, I wonder if they would be better served just making a lot of this stuff trade paperbacks and put them out like that.
I don't think they would. I think what they should do, if they're going to be doing $4.99 per issue, they should be putting Amazing Spider-Man out and having a 12-page backup story with whatever this other stuff is that they want to do, and make it one freaking book.
Right. Like
Spider-Man,
book.
Yes. You know what? Charge $5.99.
Yeah.
And literally make it a double book. Make it a flip book.
Yeah.
Make it a flip book. And you've got Amazing Spider-Man. You flip that over, then you get your Spider-Punk storyline. And you do that like old Marvel Comics Presents, but just focus on Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Either that or just do Amazing Spider-Man and Spider-Man Unlimited. Make Amazing Spider-Man $3.99 and make Spider-Man Unlimited, hell, make it $6.99. Make it 48 pages every month. And if you do 48 pages, you can do a storyline in 3 issues.
Right.
Spider-Man or Spider-Man Universe or, something like that. And that's where you put all the other stuff.
Right.
So you have 2 Spider-Man books. There is nobody in the world that likes Spider-Man that wouldn't come in and say, you know what? I can spend $11 a month on all the Spider-Man stuff. I can do that. That's doable.
Right.
But when you've got, what did I say, 8, 9 books at $5 a piece,
and
nobody can do that.
And there's a time constraint there as well. I mean,
well, yeah,
you've got to spend.
I have piles of crap all over the place I haven't read.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got tons of things I haven't read yet. Like I have things that came out when Beck was like 5.
Babyface Beck.
Yes. Beck couldn't even talk yet. Beck couldn't talk until they were 13 or 14. No, it's not. They're not listening right now. They can't listen now, but no, I mean, it's the whole situation is like you can't afford them. You can't read them all. You don't have the time. You just can't do it. And I just don't understand.
Well, so where we were at the Beer Fest, they were set up there with some comic books, and there were maybe 5 floppies on the table, but everything else was trade paperback.
Mm-hmm.
There was just a lot of trade paperback.
Yeah.
Most of Doug's stuff that he sells when he goes to shows is trades.
Yeah, because people get the whole story there.
Yeah. Yeah, you can read, and he's got that new trade that's got like the entire plastic story in it. Mm. Very cool. But it's funny because of the people that they talk to, and quite a few people come through there. And this was at a beer festival. Like, it wasn't a comic show. It wasn't anything like that. So these people are the kind of people that, they see that 10% maybe are comic collectors, but everybody else is like, wow, the kids' books, funny books. And then they get to talking to Doug, and then Doug's like, no, that's not for your children.
Yeah, please don't do that.
Don't give your kids any of his books.
Yeah, please don't do that, because, we're kind of associated a little bit. So I don't want people coming after me.
Yeah. But when they pick it up, that trade format is perfect for a new reader. And they converted, like, of the people they talked to, easy 60% of them were buying books. People that had never bought a comic book before were buying these things, take home and read.
Yeah.
So the market's out there, and I think that is really the future of where comic books are headed, is trade paperbacks and digestible stories.
I mean, I think the only like danger with that, I believe, is when there's too many of them. And I feel like there are too many of them right now. Like, not everything needs a trade,
right?
And I think that but the bigger publishers, I feel, I don't know this for sure. This is, educated guess from an uneducated man. I think that, I feel like they're making so many trade paperbacks now because they're like, well, man, we can sell this to Amazon and Barnes and Noble and Costco and Wall Company, Big Boy Lots, or whatever the crap that what it's called, Sam's Club, Wall Company, Big Boy Lots, and they know that they can sell a ton of those, man, and they know that they will buy a ton of those. Hey, Alex.
What's up, Alex?
And you know that they'll buy a ton of those, and because they're for those guys, they're returnable,
right?
So I mean, why wouldn't Barnes and Noble buy 100 copies of the new X-Men book or the new Wolverine trade or something like that? If a new movie is coming out, they can put it up there and get a display. 100 people walk in, they're like, oh yeah, I want to see that Wolverine Deadpool movie. I think I'll grab one of these Wolverine Deadpool trades, man. And if they order 100 and they sell 60 of them, they send 40 back.
Right.
And then Diamond and Random House doesn't take the stickers off and just sends those out to us when we order them and doesn't like when we complain. I actually have gotten trades with Barnes & Noble stickers on.
The return?
Yeah, and the returns.
Doesn't have to be a trade to be a complete story. You can tell a story in 22 pages.
Very true. And they used to do that.
Yeah.
And I miss that.
I think if you're going to tell, and this really started with probably Spider-Man, Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man back in the 90s, if you're going to tell those bigger stories, of course you need multiple issues.
But man, I mean, remember, when you start thinking about these classic stories, it's like, oh my God, man, when the Silver Surfer and Galactus were introduced, that was 2 issues.
Yeah. Yeah. It used to be a 3-issue arc.
Yeah. And people were like, oh my God, and that classic graphic novel, Days of Future Past, do you have that series? I'm like, no, because it was like 3 issues in X-Men is all.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I don't have that because it's not a series and it's not a graphic novel. It's 3 issues of the X-Men. Or 4 maybe, but you know what I mean.
And then they expanded into the Marvel did with the annuals, where you'd have like Executioner Song was in eight parts because they were in 8 different titles, annual issues.
Executioner Song was not in annuals. That
Executioner Song?
That was in X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, X-Force, and X-Factor, and they had those stupid little cards that were kind of cool.
Right.
But yeah, you're like Atlantis Attacks.
Yeah.
Return of the Defenders. They had in what was it, Hulk, Doctor Strange, and Silver Surfer annuals.
Right.
And you would have that, and they're still kind of doing that, but that's another bone that I have to pick with Marvel. You had to do it. Now I'm mad. No.
All right.
Now, that's the other thing that I hate about Marvel right now is their annuals. So they're putting out annuals for things that don't have series. Like Wolverine does not have an ongoing series right now.
Right.
But the annual came out last week, and it's annual number 1, which we've already had for the last series.
Right.
So there's 2 annual 1s for the last Wolverine series. But this one is the Infinity Watch crossover, which is in all of the annuals. And then they're putting out giant size number 1 for all this stuff. So you got annual number 1 when you've already had annual number 1, and then you have giant size number 1. And the giant size number 1s don't connect with anything. But it's super confusing, man.
Right.
So people are like, "Oh man, annual number 1," and then they throw 5 different covers on. So then that makes it even worse because Wolverine. I mean, where do I put Wolverine annual 1 that came out a week or 2 ago? Do I put it under the new series coming out next month? Do I put it under the old series that ended last month? Because if I put it with the old series that ended last month, there's going to be 2 annual number 1s. And they're going to be several years apart. and they're both going to have 3 or 4 covers.
Well, and then if the new series is going to have annual number 2,
but then the new series will have annual number 1, so I can't put it either place. And I don't understand why they're doing. They're making it so difficult.
So it goes under the miscellaneous Wolverine tab. It is really difficult. Marvel.
It is not easy for new readers.
Marvel, especially, it's really difficult to kind of keep track of the flow of your books, for sure.
Yeah. And it's tough for new readers to come in. I hate that.
And Alex says, I like the floppies, no trades or omnis. Pretty sure Future Past was 2 issues.
Oh, it was 2 issues. Yeah, it was.
All right.
Yeah, it was. That was 141, 142.
JG, that's it. Hello. But yeah,
you should know. I think I sold those 2.
I used to not be into the trades, but since I've gotten in the mindset that I'm no longer collecting for value, and I'm collecting the stuff that I like that I want to read.
That's weird.
It's a lot easier to buy that stuff in trade paperbacks, because if I perfect example is I wanted to catch up on the Court of Owls stuff. Like I can't, like some of that stuff's a little pricey. You'll spend a lot of money to get all of the floppies together when you can buy a $15 trade paperback.
Yeah.
And now they've got the new digest sized trade paperbacks that are coming out.
And those have been selling because of the price point.
I think it's great. I think it's an affordable price point. It's
it is, man, but I think they're trying to cash in on the manga craze.
Yeah.
Because manga's in and out every 10 or 15 years.
Right.
But I mean, if they're going to do a $9.99 trade paperback, it's not that much more just to print one like this for $9.99.
Right. Well, I don't think
Image used to do that. First one was always $9.99.
And I don't think size. I don't.
Are you going to say you don't think size matters?
Well, I'm a guy. I'm supposed to say that. I don't think size is really reflective of the price. I think the size is more reactionary, like you said, to the manga.
Yeah, because most of the mangas are $9.99 or $11.99.
Yeah, for sure. They want to capitalize on that.
Yeah.
When they started writing for trades, I started buying only trades. Okay, and that makes sense. I mean, if you know,
I get it.
If you know the next 6 issues of a story you want to read are going to be published 6 months down the road in a trade,
right? What I would like to see is more of like what Evan was talking about. It doesn't have to be a trade to be a complete story, right?
Right.
You can do that, and the way they used to do these things though, is their quote unquote trade paperbacks. Right, they would call them graphic novels or prestige or whatever you want to say. Okay,
right.
But an excellent example again, Days of Future Past. They would put out a prestige format for $6, and I collected those 2 issues with a new cover. It was just called Uncanny X-Men: Days of Future Past.
Yeah,
and you know what? That's easy to do. Those I don't really care for graphic novels that much unless they're original graphic novels. But I don't know. And I think a lot of that stems though from when, we were kids, there was no such thing as a trade paperback.
Right.
They didn't make those.
Right.
And they didn't try to do those till the 80s. They had the little pocket things. Size. They had they had the little pocket books that they reprinted a bunch of stuff in,
Right.
Sometimes they did Marvel Treasury that had older stories with a couple new ones.
Right.
Now sometimes they would do Bring On the Bad Guys, right? But that was like a different format, and it was, a collection of the best of the villain stuff. And, Origins and Sons of Origins and all that, again, all that stuff. But they were like kind of events, and they were things that have been out of print for 30 years, or 10 years or 20 years or whatever.
Right.
And they were totally out of print. You couldn't find them because you didn't have comic shops. And there was no such thing as trades.
Well, and
when a comic was out of print, or when it came out, it was out of print and it was done.
And there is something to be said for the fact that, I've got certain runs that I try to complete. I'm like 6 issues away from having a complete run of Conan the Barbarian.
Mm-hmm.
And I check your boxes every week I'm in here, and I can never find those last 6 issues.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been to other stores in town, and they don't have them either. So if you want to read those stories, you're getting them in a trade paperback or in an Omni, and that's the appeal of the Omni.
Or you're pirating them.
Very true. I mean, there's 3 or 4 places you can go online and just read stuff for free if you don't mind wading through all the porn.
There's porn online? This is good news. Oh, sorry. Hey, JG. The store is doing well. We're doing okay, man. We are. We got a signing next week.
You do?
Yeah.
Black Ranger. Is it the Black Ranger?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. Jamie, he's from New Zealand. He's the Black Dino Ranger Dino.
Yeah.
Because I know everything about Power
Rangers. I never followed Power Rangers.
No,
absolutely nothing.
No, he will be here 11 o'clock. He's got stuff to sign, and
nice.
He'll have merchandise and everything. He went to a convention, and he's stopping by here on the way back to New Zealand because it's just a hop, skip, and a jump away.
It's on the drive.
Yeah, So yeah, we got that going on. Again, we got a sale coming up. We got the Best of Utah thing going on. We've got oh my god, we got so many things happening, and we're buying so much stuff right now. It's crazy.
You that's really unfair to say because you've been buying so much stuff for the last 3 months.
Yeah,
like it just keeps coming in. Nonstop.
Yeah. Right. I mean, geez, man, we got a stack of toys over here that's like, oh, okay, there we are. Whatever, man. Okay, great. I haven't even had a chance to price yet. And I've got people. Somebody came in with one of those big tubs of comics the other day, and this happens like once a week. They just said, "Oh, okay, yeah, hi, we're here to make a donation. Here you go."
Oh yeah. And one thing that to know when that happens, because you have gotten a lot of stuff in the last 3 months or so, the quality of the quarter bin goes up considerably with Greg's want to sort through a bunch of comic books.
Well, yeah, so whatever, man.
And I realized that today. I'm trying to complete a Warlord run.
Yeah.
Trying to start a Warlord run now. And I got some the other day, and so I was looking through it today, and there's some good books in the quarter bin.
Yeah,
there's some $5-6 minor keys and stuff in there.
More than that,
there's some Valiant Fate stuff that people have been looking for.
God, there's man, you look through there. Sometimes people pull out an old signed image book.
Yeah,
I mean, they've had like Brigade signed issues and all kinds of crap, and they got the COA and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, whatever. Who cares?
All kinds of good stuff. There's some of those. I did notice some of the Kirby's Top stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was so stupid, but I love that stuff.
Oh man, yes. Okay, I have one issue of Satan's 6. I'm wondering. You know what, man? I've almost showed the Daredevil. Yes. Oh, thank you. That is true. Yeah, he did.
Daredevil collection.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's what they did. I just thought about that. The Houses of the Unholy. If that was Satan's 6, like Satanic 6, because that's the Kirby series.
Yeah.
And I have one issue of that, and you know what it is? The first appearance of Jason Voorhees. It is Jason X Uber Jason. He shows up in that book.
Huh.
It is such a weird place for that to show up.
Like, I think that Topps era Kirby, like, that is the ultimate Kirby. That he had no constraints on him at all. He wasn't.
It was insane.
He could work on his own schedule. Yeah. Nobody was going to tell him what to do because he was Jack Kirby at Topps.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Yeah.
But, hell, man, Topps had, they had Friday the 13th. They had Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah.
They did a Freddy versus, Jason versus Leatherface, I believe is what it was.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Now, and they're weird licensing. things going on all over the place back then, and that was so that was before. AT&T owned Discovery, that runs Warner Brothers, that owns DC, that owns New Line. So honestly, can't use those New Line horror characters anymore, and DC doesn't want to do them.
I think that's how we got Image, was the licensing issues back then, because all of these creators wanted to work and bring their characters to each other.
Mm-hmm.
But you work at DC and I work at Marvel, and like it just got messed up, and they could do whatever they want if they were on the same publishing house.
That is true.
I think that if not the Catalyst, that had a large
and that's that's some of the weird stuff with that's it's sort of mind-boggling with the Hasbro stuff being an Image. Because they were always, they were creator owned. They were, these are my characters. I'm going to do them here, or I'll bring them over to this publisher, or, switch this, or I'll do, whatever you want to do. Right. But now they're licensing other people's characters, which is kind of strange. I thought that was a weird, I guess, get for them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's paid off.
It has.
100% has paid off. And it's like, God, man, the Transformers and G.I. Joe outsell every one of those Spider-Man books except Amazing Spider-Man that we were talking about.
Yeah.
It's just totally crazy. But I think it's just really weird how they're doing that.
Yeah. Well, right now Hasbro is they're doing strange new things with licensing across the board. We see that a lot from the WotC side, from Dungeons and Dragons, and especially
where's that little man?
Especially Magic the Gathering, and
is that Hasbro?
Yeah.
Oh wow! I didn't realize.
But yeah, they do Transformers set for Magic the Gathering, and they've done The Hobbit for Magic the Gathering. And,
oh wow, that's weird.
And Fallout and Doctor Who.
But wait a minute, isn't Lord of the Rings New Line?
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying.
So that's Warner Brothers.
Hasbro WotC is really doing bizarre workarounds and reaching out. I think they're testing waters with a lot of their license.
That reminds me of I hate to even say this word, but that reminds me of the Fortnite stuff. Or Mortal Kombat.
Oh yeah.
When you put, you've got, and is it Mortal Kombat that Homelander's in it? Or it's like a downloadable character.
I wasn't aware of that. I think it's been on Fortnite as a skin. Yeah. They're called foreskins.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I had no idea.
I don't know if that's true, but that's what I'm going
with. Well, if you ask Homelander, he's a 5-skin.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as you said, size doesn't matter. So,
all right. So a lot of interesting stuff to think about. A lot of fun stuff going on in the comic industry. One thing that I did want to hit on today, that I'm going to do for the next 8 weeks or so, because we're leading into Halloween, right? Leading into that spooky season, and we I think everybody's starting to feel it a little bit early. We're going to do a new segment for you that Greg knows nothing about. Greg's going to throw out a classic horror film, because you know more about horror film than anybody I know. So once a week, we're going to have Greg suggest for us a horror film for us all to go watch that we can discuss next week on the show.
Oh, I like that.
So if we want, let's get a theme here. I was going to say family friendly, but I've met your family,
and they're not friendly.
That's not true. Your child is delightful.
She's also in Chicago right now.
Oh, that's
this morning.
Oh man, that sucks.
That's why my voice is a little off. I've been crying all day.
At the freedom that you're going to experience for the next 3 months.
It's actually probably the IV that was in me earlier.
Could be.
But not doing heroin again. This is an IV. I assure you.
But let's go with a theatrical release. It has to be a theatrical release movie that PG-13.
Oh,
or something that maybe the teenagers could watch with their mom and dad.
Okay, and is this going to be something? Just something I love that I recommend? Is it going to be
something you love that you'd recommend?
Like an underground sort of movie, or does it matter?
Well, it helps if it's something that we can find streaming somewhere.
All right.
For sure.
God, man, I gotta tell you. PG and PG-13.
Yeah.
Okay, Happy Death Day.
Happy Death Day. I don't think you've ever heard of that one.
Came out about 5 or 6 years ago. It is PG-13, theatrical release. It is basically a horror version of Groundhog Day.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Like she's a college student, I think, something like that.
Yes.
I recall
and
that.
It's really, really fun. I really like it. PG-13.
Okay. So let's all go watch Happy Death Day.
Yes.
We all talk about how Greg's beer is not gray yet.
Oh my God, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that with Eric.
Like I wouldn't.
Yours isn't gray. That's white.
Like I hit that at like 22. Like It was insane.
That thing's so white it makes you look tan. Yeah, we can talk about that. You bet, man. I mean, no, it's got quite a bit there.
Well, you've got kind of that, because the dark on the side is kind of like that crazy heavy metal superstar look thing going on.
Yeah,
like kind of a Rob Halford
and the Halford, the Tom Araya from Slayer. There you go, a little Slayer action there. Well, let's be honest. I'm 54 years old. This beard's only about a month old. So give it some time, okay?
It'll show up eventually. All right. So Happy Death Day. Let's all go watch Happy Death Day, and we can discuss it on the next show.
Yeah. We got like PG-13 one. We can do an unrated one. We can do So Bad It's Good. We can do direct to video. We do
direct to video.
Oh my God, yes, dude, this is going to be great.
All right.
I'm all over this.
And because Halloween is kind of your thing, spooky movies kind of your thing.
Yep.
As we transition into the Christmas holidays, I can give you the picks for the Christmas stuff because that's my jam.
Me too. Silent Night, Deadly Night.
That's a good one. I have
New Year's Evil, Violent Night.
Krampus. Like there were two Krampus movies at the same time a couple of years ago.
Krampus, Anne in the Apocalypse, Gremlins. We can do this all day.
Anne in the Apocalypse. You were telling me about that one last year, and I didn't get a chance.
So great.
All right, so a lot of goodies, a lot of good things to talk about. Make sure to pop in and join us next week when we discuss Happy Death Day.
Yeah.
And if you have any questions for Greg as a longtime local comic shop owner, please leave it in the comments below or shoot us a message.
An old one with a somewhat gray beard.
And we're happy to discuss those things. If there's a topic you'd like to hear discussed, let us know. Coming up, you've got the signing. He threw it out there real quick, but I want to make sure that you're aware. He did say a sale coming up.
I did say that, didn't I?
And we will make sure that you're kept well informed when that goes on, because he needs to get rid of some back issues.
Damn right.
So
he did it the other day, and they're like, "So when you decide on when you have your sales?" And I'm like, "This is how I decide.
Yeah,
let's do it."
So a lot of good stuff.
Yes.
And with FanX and Wasatch coming up, you'll be hearing more about that kind of stuff as well. I have discovered, make it sound like I'm Phil Spector here. I haven't discovered. I've come across,
don't make it sound like that.
No, shit, no.
Did you hear the gunshot?
I've come across a couple local comic book creators that I didn't know existed. They have published books, self-published guys. I'm gonna work with Greg, see if we can get them down in the Salt Lake area. They're from up north.
Yeah,
I would love to into the shop
do it
to do some signings and hawk their wares.
Yeah,
a couple cool things. So
also, me and Andrew and Chris Hoffman, Andrew Malin and Chris Hoffman, were kind of talking about this a little while ago because they did some variant covers, some Archie variant covers. And we've got some of those.
Nice.
And we want to do like an Archie signing thing.
Oh,
we can get
Adrian
and
nice.
Bill back in and stuff like that.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, which I think would be a lot of fun. That's
very cool.
Single? No, I'm not. Sledge. I'm sorry. No, I'm not, Evan, but I'm flattered. Thank you.
And I was talking.
Also, I don't have my glasses.
I was talking with Chris, and I've been talking to Evan. FanX is giving Utah creators 2 booth spaces where we're going to just rotate Utah creators through.
Which blows my mind.
Giving it to us for free, and I think it's fantastic that they're wanting to work with us and
give it to us for free. Did they misspell $3,000? Because,
well, in all fairness, Roger stepped up to the plate and kind of hounded them and maybe shamed them into it a little bit. So,
well, good job, Roger.
Yeah,
way to go, man.
So very positive thing.
I feel like we need to do that with them a little more.
Yeah,
to be honest,
Well,
let's get the local comic world back into the local convention.
Yeah,
it makes zero sense that there's not a presence.
Yeah,
because we can't afford to.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. So you'll be getting more updates on that stuff as we roll it out. I know Evan has got a spot there. We're gonna have Doug Wagner as kind of the anchor of the whole thing all weekend long. I think he's definitely the most prolific comic book creator in the state. So that's
I think I would argue Ryan a couple years ago, but I think and Ryan's got a lot of stuff coming up.
Large body of work.
Yeah. I think Ryan's got a lot of stuff coming up, but I think Doug is probably the most prolific. Yeah. Thanks, Alex. See you, man.
And it doesn't at all detract from any of our other creators.
Absolutely,
they all do fantastic stuff.
Yeah. And, I mean, that's that's the thing is when you say, and I think everybody around here, like 99.9, I can think of a couple people that are like, no thanks, but a vast majority of our local creators, are really cool, really personable, and really love comics and love to talk about comics and love to interact with fans and readers and things like that. And that's the thing is, I don't think anybody that's a creator would take. They're all cool guys, man.
Yeah.
They're all, and I don't mean only men. I mean just guys as a word, group of people. But yeah, and they're all cool. So I don't think anybody would get offended with that. They're all just like, yeah, Doug does a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing about the community here is overall the comic community is super toxic. I think so. I don't like the word toxic because that means you're breathing in fumes, you're going to die. But if the comic industry is running on fumes and it's dying, it could be because of that toxicity. You know what I mean? And it can be so toxic and just angry and, complain and bitchy and moany about stuff that, and I think our community here, like, sometimes we'll like scratch our heads and go, I wonder why they're doing that. But it doesn't matter. I mean, nobody is going to get on and complain about it. Nobody is going to get in anybody else's face. Nobody is going to do any of that, because it's a really supportive community. And it's like, oh my hell, we actually are decent people and we love comics. Who would have thunk it?
Yeah.
So
we got really lucky. We got a real positive comic book community in Utah. So
I knew that I was a no thanks guy.
I knew that I was a no thanks guy.
No, you're the please no thanks guy. I'm polite to you. I like you.
All right.
No, I think I think who it is.
So a lot going on, and we will keep you informed as things change.
Yes.
And I am going to be proofing pages for the Rogue Trader comic book this weekend.
All right.
So hopefully we'll see that out. I don't know if it'll be out by FanX, but soon thereafter.
Right on.
Have something on.
Excellent.
And it will be carried at Black Cat Comics, whether Greg wants it to or not. I'll just drop them off on the shelf and walk away. So.
No, you're not the only one's done that. I don't know where half that shit came from.
All right. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Yes.
Ring the little bell. I just been Jigglypuff. And that way you'll be informed.
You acted like I threw a hammer at you.
All right. We'll see you later, traders.